are like you sensing that there's a bit of a uh-oh, here we go again, or all right, this time we're going to get it done?
At the end of games, you're saying? Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
we just
Yeah, so that's Sonia Rahman being asked about closing out games. And that's kind of a big deal here for the Seattle Storm. You know, we've seen them have losing streaks before, we've seen them play bad basketball before. But Hoeta, I feel like we've evolved to a different level of frustration, and that actually might be a good thing.
Yeah, maybe that's what, maybe the frustration is what they need to get to the next level. We did.
Uh-oh, we lost you for a second. I can't hear you. Uh-oh, we might have to have you pop in and pop out again. But hey Phil, hey Tammy. Ironheart was here early. Hovetha, you're probably gonna have to pop out and pop back in. So we are gonna talk about the Seattle Storm.
Yeah.
Okay, now I can hear you. We're gonna talk about the Seattle Storm and their last few games. But because I'm about to sneeze, let's go back to some of the footage from the last game, which was against Chicago. Both games against Washington and Chicago. We're going to go mostly focus on Chicago. That's where these clips will be from. But again, close games, tight games, you'll love to see that. And it's a little bit frustrating, we're sure. But what does Sonia Rahman and the rest of the team have to say?
quite get back to even, right? We couldn't get the lead in that situation. It probably took everything we had just to cut it to the 2 at that point. Really good run, good fourth quarter. Probably just ran out of time there, and I think the takeaway for us was much more about the first half, how we start, taking care of the ball so that we limit the points off turnovers mainly, and then just guarding better in the half court. So those are probably the 2 biggest takeaways from tonight. I think we didn't get like our first or second look, and then I think that's kind of where trying to make a play and seeing the help was drawn in, the skip pass. But I just think that like in general, this is just part of our growth and our process of taking care of the ball, and like they just all come at the end of the game, right? Like so. This is something that we just know is where we have to grow and where we have to be better. And with players with just more usage and more time with the ball in their hands, like this is just kind of part of it. In addition to the fact that we play fast, so when you're trying to play fast, sometimes you're going to have a little bit more turnovers than a really slow, methodical, half court offense. And I think we feel that playing fast really suits us. It's going to play to our strengths, but there's going to be some of the growing pains and getting to the point where we bring those turnovers down.
Yeah.
So we're going to hear more. And again, apologies, my allergies just went completely off the rails. But yeah, and Phil, we're going to talk about rebounding. Rebounding was not the issue. Getting to the free throw line was not the issue. Making free throws was a little bit of the issue. And turnovers was that last piece. And we're going to hear from Flau'jae and Awafam also in a little bit. But Hovetha, when you look at this game, what was it, a 3-point game, I think, against Washington or something like that? Can't hear you again.
It was muted.
Okay. 3-point game, I think, against Washington. 5 points, but like a long 5 points after or against Chicago. So when you're missing free throws, and we'll hear from Sonia Rahman about this, not the end of the world because they were getting to the line, but those are some of the things you have to refine and that are within your control to refine if you're losing games by single digits.
Yeah, 100%. And to be honest, it seems like free throws have in general been an issue for the Seattle Storm and for teams around the league. I haven't really looked into the data. I don't know if it's just a perception that I have, but it seems like teams have been missing
I agree.
Free throws. When you look at the ranking, it's kind of crazy that no team is shooting better than 86% from the free throw line.
Yeah.
And we're talking about free throws, so the Storm is shooting 79.7% 79.4%. They do fall in the lower range, the lower end of free throws attempt with 18.7. So they are not really going to the line that much, but they're shooting what they get. They're definitely not making the best use of it because they're still on the 79.4 range. And when it comes to free throws, it's like free kick in soccer. That's your chance. That's almost like the closest thing you're gonna get to a sure thing.
Yeah, I think it's
when it
even
comes to
easier.
scoring.
It's easier than a free kick.
Yeah, because a free. Also, another trend is the men's World Cup. I've never seen that many penalty kicks being defended. Anyways,
I'll take your word
yeah,
for it. I have watched this many minutes of the men's World Cup.
I'm Brazilian. It sometimes I don't even have a say in it. My friends are just like, "Hey, have you seen this?" And now I have to. I haven't. It's okay. So that's different now. As a Brazilian, not only citizen but born and raised, it's my duty to hate watch Argentina in the finals. Apologies, Diana Taurasi. Love you, but that's the side of you that I will never support Argentina. Anyways, so the Seattle Storm is not doing well on the free throw and other things too. But when you look at the league in general, they do rank 7th. So at least they're not like Connecticut that are shooting 69.1%. But the Storm is a team that needs to make free throws because they are not being very effective. They're not finding many good scoring opportunities. So they are not the worst team when it comes to free throws, but they are the second worst when it comes to field goal percentage. So you have to take advantage of the sure thing that you have. And that's just like, those are things that's the kind of thing that's controllable.
Yes,
free throw,
exactly.
you can control. You can control the free throw you make.
Yeah. And again, it's just one of those things. I think another thing is, if you're only losing by 5 points, and this is what the lead tracker looks like, just this two little blips, everything else was all Chicago. And I actually did listen to the local broadcast on this. I don't always, as people in our Slack channel know, but I did listen this time, and they said that this just wasn't a game where it felt like, at the time they were saying that it felt like Seattle was down 13 points. You can see the biggest lead ever for Chicago was 14. And Seattle really only ever had a 2-point lead. There were only the 2 lead changes. So, there's some things here that you can work with. And that's what we keep saying. If I were having this conversation on Monday with Brian, the tone would be completely different, because that is a team that should be in a championship window. When we have our conversations on Wednesdays or Thursdays, depending on the week, when we have our conversations later in the week, we're talking about a team that knows they're young.
Yeah.
They know that they have a new head coach, and the head coach is respecting the process, that the organization as a whole is in a learning pattern. This is a developmental reboot of a season. And so I want to put into context why we had frustration earlier, or at least why I was expressing frustration early on. And I've kind of calmed down a little bit. One is that my level of rage was not sustainable, and I have to take care of my health because nobody else is going to. That was somewhat of a joke, but also growth. The second part of that is
couldn't get the lead.
The second part of that is that this is a team that, although the end result in the wins and losses isn't coming out in their favor, I do think they have shown growth since we were ranting and raging about them not being able to box out, about the turnovers. We already saw in the comments who was it? I think it was Phil saying,
Phil.
"What they sure did rebound.
They
Rebounding
did.
was great. Points in the paint, great." So there are some things that they weren't doing well before that they're doing better at. And it's just a process. So let's go back to Sonia. And again, we're going to hear from Flau'jae and Awafam a little bit about this. Like, what is this like? Because, you know, when you look at this team, you look at, and it was a question. We kind of led with that question for this game, or excuse me, for this episode. This is now a 3-game losing streak. We've seen a pretty extensive losing streak this season alone, a record-setting losing streak. And it's like, is it happening again? So let's hear what the team feels about this. I thought there were some really interesting insights from last night's press conference.
I mean, I think like I feel like every time we're in the timeout and towards, you know, and today, at least at the end of the game, just answering your question on today, I felt like the team was really locked in. You know, they knew what they needed to do, and I thought they had a really good high level of confidence and belief in themselves that they could do it. Sometimes the ball doesn't bounce your way, you know, it's some of the looks that we got. But, you know, I didn't sense any sort of here we go again from them now.
In the fourth
Jen, go
quarter,
ahead.
what was Sonia's key message?
Who do we want to be? Like, that was the message at halftime. Like, what kind of team do we want to be? You know what I'm saying? Like, we played good for, come out bad one half, and then we play excellent one half. Like, we don't want to be a one-half team. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's what I told her. She was like, yeah, I agree. We got to get better with our processes and continue to use the next day to get better. And I think it shows up, like, in spurts. I feel like we are a really good team. But if you want to be a great team, you can't play in spurts. You know what I mean? So her message is for us to just stay composed and keep getting better day by day. Stay poised, calm, composed. Obviously, they have a lot of veteran leadership, you know, a lot of vet players. And I think for us, our core, you know, we're pretty young, you know, so just, you know, learning the playoff tee, you know what I'm saying? She giving us direction, and then we kind of understand what we're doing. Jay's like young too. Like, I just know she's 1 year older than me. So like we're all pretty young. So I think it's got a lot of communications, and then we just gotta look back, right? Watch film, dissect this together, and kind of talk through like, what were you thinking? Like, what are you doing? Like, and I'm always talking to Awa on the court, even though she don't listen. But I think it's just like constant communication and just looking back and trying to see how we can
come
improve.
back. What are you
what's
kind of
in
learning
terms of-
in these late game situations?
How to win, but also like the game ain't never, it's not ever really over until the buzzer sounds. Like, the game is not over, so we got to continue to play and have the mentality of next play. If they score, okay, we finna get a stop. We about to score. Like, you know, I think like us being so young, get too focused on the small things, and I think kind of just getting out of ourselves and having those reps in those clutch times to know like, okay, this is how you do this. This is when you do this. You know, communication, etc. So I think it's just like growing pains. We just got to figure out how to win. That takes time.
To take care of the ball, like we need to know what is the best advantage at the final, like who is scoring all the time. We need to pass that person. We need to defend this person because he's a hot player. I don't know. We just need to take care more of the ball. We just need to be like more variants and just read the game.
We're going to hear more, excuse me, specifically about Awafam, who had a really interesting game. But I love Phil's comments here, and Eagle's brother also. Flau'jae is the leader of this team. I think she's definitely speaking as the leader. And also, she was definitely the leading scorer against Chicago. And we heard from Flau'jae, we heard on the broadcast, and from Sonia, she just was finding her shot early. And that was huge for her to be able to help keep this team in striking distance. Didn't work out in their favor, but it was definitely Flau'jae that was helping to keep this team afloat.
Yeah, and if she's not the leader of the team, she's definitely the heart of the team. I think that's for sure. Flau'jae's role in the Seattle Storm at such not only early age but early point of her career is impressive, and I think that is going to pave the way for her to grow not only as a basketball player but also as the key player on the team. I mean, we do have to. I do think that Dom is still the main player on the team, just in terms of how she has contributing and just in terms of how the team is built. But I feel like Flau'jae has really made an immediate, not necessarily made an immediate impact, but she made her presence felt, and in every way possible. She does represent the team very well. She seems to connect very well with everyone. I love the connection that she and Awa have.
Yes.
And it's just like
And we're gonna see more of that. They are so
Yeah.
adorable. And there's a little clip
Yeah.
towards the end of our because they were cutting up. There were like some unspoken things in last night's
Yeah,
performance, which
yeah.
I thought were so cute.
Yeah, and it's cool because like those are two rookies, right? They're gonna grow together. It's maybe like kind of what we saw with Lauren Jackson and Sue Bird, Brianna Stewart and Jewel Lloyd. You know, that if we get a Lauren Jackson Sue Bird situation with Flau'jae and Awa, that would be so cool because I feel like in terms of
Flau'jae and
personality,
Awa, Flau'jae Awa Dom, like I
yeah.
mean,
I feel
and
like
you
in
heard
terms of
Flau'jae say
personality,
even Jade is still pretty young. Like
yeah,
you
they
know,
are.
she's been in the league for a while, but she's as
Yeah.
old as they are, basically.
Yeah, because just like Ala and Dom, she's also an international player who didn't have to wait for the age requirement of the NCAA. So it is a young team. It's a team that has a lot to grow, and something that Sonia, that coach Sonia said a few games ago, that brings back to both of these two games and what we have talked in terms of clutch. It is that you don't want the game to get to that point. You don't want it to be a clutch game. I don't know if she said that because they were playing Portland, or if because she understands that her team's specialty is not clutch.
It's not, and that's
yeah.
something, specifically that I wanted to talk about. I've been,
Yeah.
I don't want to say obsessed, but I've definitely honed in on clutch time, the stat. Like it's such an interesting stat to me just to begin with, but clutch time points is huge. We've talked about that because of this whole rivalry series, and Portland is very good in clutch time. But you know, that's not something that Seattle is good at. They're 1-9, or were. I guess now they're 1-10. In clutch time. So they were 1-9 ahead of Chicago's game, and then they lost. And I think you would say that was a loss in clutch time because they had an opportunity. They had an opportunity to tie the game, and they didn't. And you know, Sonia was asked about the turnovers or the turnover late in the game. She was asked about free throw shooting, which she personally said she didn't feel, and I think we have some of this in the clips, she didn't personally feel that was something, but in hearing the broadcast, and also I say this all the time, and I know we had a comment from earlier in this afternoon, from Ironheart, but you know how I feel about this, Roberta. The Seattle Storm, even with their players who are considered veteran in years of service in the WNBA, they are lacking when it comes to hard minutes. And they talked about that a lot on the local broadcast. If y'all were listening, you heard them say, you know, it's one thing to be a veteran and to be on winning teams, but and to be a very good role player or a sixth person, you know, a sixth player of the year type contender. And that's what they have in Natisha Heidemann. You could argue that's what they have in Jade Melvin or even Stephanie Dolson. But, you know, and Stephanie, I want to say, is a little bit of an outlier, but her role is very specific at this point in her career. But Natisha Heidemann in Connecticut, in Minnesota, is not the person who is going to dominate the possessions in clutch time. That's not what she's done in her career. And now that's what she has to do on this team. And so when you have a young team, a scrappy team that's getting within 10 points in the last 5 minutes and they're not closing games, I do think that their clutch time stats, compounded with the fact that, again, this is more of an Erica L. Ayala stat, and they don't have a lot of hard minutes collectively, that makes a difference.
I understand your point. For me, it's not really about their clutch performance. It's about the continuous performance, because when you get to the clutch part, in the Storm case, you get to the clutch. The definition of clutch is in NBA, it's like 5 minutes to go in the game, 5 minutes difference. It's one thing if the game has been close all the time, the whole time. It's another thing if you're constantly down double digits, which is the case for the Seattle Storm.
That's true.
You're gonna have to work much harder than the other team, because if you're down 15, you're gonna have to go on a 16-0 run to take the lead. And it's not always that you're going to get the other team to not score. They were not able to hold the Sky to 0 for enough time for them to take the lead. So from my point of view, the issue is not with their performance in clutch time. It's with their performance throughout the game.
Right.
And it's being consistent. That's what it's being consistent. And it seems like once they lose their footing, once they miss like 2-3 plays, they lose heart and they beat themselves down. And I think that this has to do with the leadership part, the on-the-court leadership, and the youngness of the team. So we're talking about Tisha Heidman in Connecticut and Minnesota. She was not the leader of the team. Now she is the leader of the team, which is completely different from what she has done. And then the other players right now that are keeping the Storm afloat are Awa, Dom, and Flau'jae, who are super young, and the one with the most experience is Dom, who also stayed out for a significant amount this season. So there is a mix of inexperience, with also, on the mental side, which might be connected to the experience, which is that they can't find a flow. And you usually within the first minutes of a game, you can tell how the Storm's gonna do. There was one game that the Storm really surprised me, which was the win that broke that streak. But most of the games, the Storm starts away, and that's how you know they're gonna go. So they start shooting threes, and the ball doesn't fall. Look at the game against Chicago, and their 3-point. I don't know if it was this one. They were 4 for 25 from the 3-point line, shooting 16%. And then against Chicago, 5 against Washington, 5 of 19. For me, when they start with shooting the threes, I know it's not going to be a good Storm game. Just like when they start shooting and not making, and they persist on that. So it's usually you can predict how a Storm game is gonna go within the first 5 minutes, and then they might surprise you. They are gonna trail by double digits, and then comes fourth quarter, they go for a run. You think they're going to make it, and then it comes with the growing part. The thing is that some of those issues have been too consistent and don't show signs of growth. And that's where the concern is.
I mean, but that maybe I'm just a little more Pollyanna because I got enough problems on our Monday show. Got to get up a podcast for New York Liberty fans. So again, I'm trying to control my rage. But I hear what you're saying. I don't know that some of what you're asking for is realistic for them to be able to fix until they go through what they're going through now. Because if you are the lead point guard for a team and you don't know how to manage the game flow for 40 minutes, but especially in the last 5, how is anyone else on the team who has significantly less WNBA experience supposed to be able to do it? Now
That's a fair
maybe give
point.
it, like, and I want to say that does not excuse, in my opinion, to some extent, Olympians, but also let's think about Jade Melvin and Dominique Malunga, just as 2 examples as Olympians. Were they playing clutch time minutes for their respective teams? No. So there's just a level of pressure that this team collectively does not know. And so the youth of it all is one thing, and I think that was the frustration earlier, because or when we were talking earlier in the season, because at the end of the day, basketball is basketball. There's not an excuse for getting a WNBA paycheck and acting like you don't know how to box out. Like, I don't want to hear nothing about that. That is like, don't piss me off, basically. And I will say that to a player's face straight up. Do not piss me off with that. If you are getting a WNBA paycheck to play professional basketball, I'm going to need you to know how to box out. And then I'm going to need you to know that if you don't box out, that's on you. Don't be
You're talking to the Storm or JJ?
I'm talking about literally anyone. Anyone. I will say it to anyone directly to their face, because like there is no reason other than an offensive foul that you shouldn't be able to box out, or defensive. I guess it depends on what part of the court you're on. Unless someone is fouling you and prohibiting you from boxing out and rebounding, you should be able to at least attempt to get a rebound. That's not even happening, and that is like rampant throughout the WNBA, but I'm gonna put that in the parking lot for now because I'll go on a rant.
Yeah.
I can't take that. But so there's the youthfulness of it all. There's the young piece of it, as in their age. Then there is the inexperience. That's another thing. And because of that inexperience, there's a level of, you talked about the mental side, but I think it's also just a level of maturity. And I don't mean as far as like, cognitive development or like as a human being. I'm talking about as a professional. What is the maturity level? What is the level of refined professionalism that is realistic for this Seattle Storm team? And so I love Alicia J, who is my co-host on We Need to Talk Now. But when we did one of our segments where we have to like guarantee something or whatever, and she said, I guarantee that the Seattle Storm make the playoffs this season, I was like, baby.
Girl. Sorry.
And that's not a slight on Seattle.
No,
but it's not,
that's the thing.
Just not realistic. It's not realistic.
Yeah.
And this is not a team right now that I think has, maybe we'll say, the maturity / the mental edge to be a team that's like, oh, we're young, but we're going to go on a 16-0 streak and, make our way into. I just don't see that happening. In theory, it could happen. Am I expecting that to happen with this particular team? No. Does that mean that this is a failing team? No.
No, absolutely not. So this is not a failing team. This is a learning team. I think what's frustrating about it is that you see lots of improvements on one side, and then you see something that potentially was doing well not working. So of course, the rebounds have been a big point of conversation when it comes to Seattle, and they have improved significantly. They started the season with 30.7 rebounds per game in May, and now in July that increased to 37.8 per game. On the other hand, the turnovers, which should have improved, have increased like significantly. I would say they were at 14.8 turnovers per game, and they're now at 16.5.
Right.
So
And what was it against Chicago? Like 14 for
oh yeah,
against
Chicago was
14 for
against
16
Chicago it was
points.
16.
Oh, 16 for 20 then. I think it was 16 for 20 points.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, and that has to be cleaned up. I will say some of that is decision making. There's this really there was a really gnarly bad skip pass late in the game. And it was easy to point out, because it was so blatantly bad and obvious, but that is also something that I think is a little bit of an issue in today's WNBA, like that over the head skip pass. Like I don't know why anyone is doing that. But anyway, yeah, it's just the decision making isn't there. And there was something earlier in the clip that we played from Flau'jae, which I thought was really good. And I want to just spend some time breaking it down, because what she said, Hoeta, is, and she made a joke about Awa. She was like, yeah, she's like, she doesn't listen to me. And that was clearly a joke, that some inside joke they have. But what she said before that is that this is a team where we have to watch film together. We have to ask each other, okay, this is what I was going for. What were you thinking? Because some of that basketball at especially at this level becomes second nature.
Yeah.
And it's an odd thing, because every season that second nature looks a little bit different, because the team roster looks a little bit different. And so the shorthand that you have with some players, like, what was that? I'm going to use an MNBA example. I don't do this often, but it was just so adorable. But what's the one who allegedly had he was dating someone and then allegedly had an affair. What's his name? The one from Golden State with Lexi Brown.
Oh, Klay Thompson.
Okay, Klay Thompson. Okay, bam. So Klay Thompson.
No, that's Asia Wilson's.
Oh my God. Klay Thompson. I can't keep up. Klay Thompson, right, used to play for Golden State, and then he got traded to
Dallas.
Okay. I was like, I don't know. I was like, don't quote me on that. I don't watch the NBA that much or at all. But anyway, yes, he got traded to Dallas, and there was this clip where Steph Curry goes to make like a blind pass, and there was nobody there, and people were like, bro, like, what the F are you doing? Like, what is going on? And someone cut this video to show that it became a thing that he did with Klay. So when certain things were happening, certain reads were happening, he would do a blind pass and Klay was there. Like, those are the things that I don't think the collective we in media talk about enough. When we see athletes making mistakes, it's like, again, Steph Curry, one of the best basketball players, why would you make that pass? Like, what the F are you thinking? He wasn't. That's the point, because he put in the work with Klay Thompson for them to know that that's where each other would be. And this team doesn't have that. So they have to put in the work when it comes to watching film, when it comes to talking during the games. And again, we heard Flau'jae say that. I don't know if we played that clip yet, but Sonia has said that. And yes, she says it often, but because there was one rant that I had. I think I was solo dolo that time, but I was like, if you have children, or if you've ever been around children for an extended period of time, or if you've worked with children, I was like, put in the chat how many times a child will listen to you the first time. The answer is zero. Because you have to learn. Some of it is like a power struggle. Is like, don't be telling me what to do. Like, sometimes it's that. Sometimes it's like, I hear you, but I'm afraid to say I don't understand you. Right? And sometimes it's like, I hear you and I want to do that, but I have other things that are in my mind and it hasn't gotten to the top of my mind just yet. And and I'm sure there's other things that I'm missing, but that's kind of what I see in Seattle. It's like, first they have to build the trust. Do I trust the coach and the coaching staff? And sometimes it's not anything that's even conscious, right? Just as humans, you're like, am I going to trust this person? Like, what's going on? So you have to work through that. And then once the trust is built, then it's like, okay, but this is what we do. And that's also what we heard from Flau'jae. they were asked, what was the message from Sonia? And Sonia said to them at halftime, who do we want to be? What are we about? Because they're figuring that out, Roberta, in real time.
They are figuring that out, and it's pretty interesting that Flau'jae mentioned that there was a kind of a little clip nugget that during the game that kind of went viral, and it was Flau'jae and Awa watching film during the game. So you can see that they are constantly trying to learn together and trying to better understand the team, what the coach wants. It's just, and I feel that intentionally it's going to be a very slow progress for this Seattle Storm. They are allowing themselves the time to make the mistakes, to go through the rough patches, so they can figure things out and be effective in the future. Because sometimes it does make sense for you to spend more time with something that seems so basic, something that is going to take your time more now. So in the future, you don't have to struggle with it that much. So it seems like that's what the Storm is doing.
Yeah, 100%. And a part of that is also, knowing your personnel, KYP. And that's interesting because I know we've talked about, and Jeff in particular, I see you in the comments. Hey, Jeff, and everybody else. Phil is here. Tammy, I think, is here. I loved that we heard after this game a conversation about Awa Pham and whether she should be shooting from the perimeter or getting points in the paint. And I thought it was an interesting conversation to get Awa's perspective and then also to hear Sonia. So let's get into our second quarter topic. Awa in the paint or at the perimeter, ? Or do we have to choose? Is she a unicorn? Let's hear what the Storm have to say.
Liked seeing you down in the paint a little bit more in this game. Was that maybe a little bit more intentional, or can you talk about that?
I like that. I'm like more. I have more confidence in my 3-point shot, but I like that. Like I'm center. I was doing this when I was in Valencia, so like I'm here. I know that I can do that.
I think that like some of it is matchup dependent, like who's guarding her, where's her best advantage. I think the great thing about Awa is there's a lot of advantages on the floor that she creates. So where is that? And, if it doesn't really matter, right? Like if the matchup doesn't really matter, then we're just going to kind of try to generate the touches for her that we can, inside and outside. But typically in any given game, like we might say that there's more of an advantage on the perimeter, bigs can't stay with her or they're putting a smaller person on her and we want to get her inside. I thought today there was actually like a pretty good balance of inside out. And I think we want to just get her established in the paint more and more as we go forward.
Oh, sorry.
I know who is my defender, so today I know that I have more advantages maybe on the paint. So it's just one thing that I was thinking that okay, maybe today I need to be more on the paint. So it's just one thing that I was thinking, and I know that I need to do it more.
First of all, we're gonna get to what Percy had to say, but like, look at these two. They're like so cute. Oh my gosh, cheesing. But they were cracking up. If you haven't seen this full post game, I think you'll enjoy it. But I enjoyed hearing both Sonia and Awa talk about Awa Pham being able to score in the paint, because it's something that we've talked about on the show. I have said before on this particular show, Roberta, it doesn't bother me as much when Dominique Malunga, generally speaking, Dominique and Awa shoot from the perimeter. But I will say, because I wrote notes, I had to watch that game. I watched it. I couldn't watch it live, so I watched it earlier today. And one of the first things that I wrote down was Dominique. It was early in the game, and she pulled up to take that 3-pointer. I was like, "What are we doing? What are we doing?" Like, I don't say that about Dom a lot, but I was like, "Baby, that's not the shot we need. That's not the shot we need." With Awa, I don't personally feel that, because I do see that she's confident in her shot. She can make that shot. And for all of the things that Sonia said, if it's going to pull bigs, whoever's defending her, if it's going to pull them out of the paint and give their guards who like to drive an open lane, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, no, I think that Awa is a player that can there's a word in English, it's unicorn. In Portuguese, we call them coringa, which in English is the Joker, the card. So like you can put it however you want. I feel like she is she's kind of like that, which is a unicorn type of player. And that's a question that I had made to Sonia previously, if she thought that she would see our farm playing more in the paint, or if she would play her more on the wings. And she said it depends on the matchup. And for yesterday, there was no Camila, right? So the Storm should have played. I feel like concentrating Dom and Awa in the paint would be like the key for success. But like you said, I'm okay with Awa shooting from outside. I think that she's really good at that, and she has proven to be effective with it, and that will pull defenders from Dom. So, and we have already seen high lows between Dom and Awa. So I feel like this would be a great way to use her. I think that her outside game is a little better than Dom's, and Dom's inside game is just unmatched. So I think that it's very, the Storm is very lucky to have the opportunity to have those two players who can switch that much, because even if Awa is not having the best game from outside, there's still so many ways that they can use her inside. So yeah, no Camila was all.
Camila. Yes. Yeah, like take advantage, right? No Camila Cardoso. She has been or has now, I guess, an injury that was likely nagging, and just they were like, let's shut it down so it doesn't become anything too big. So yeah, I mean, and that's again what we heard from Sonia. They want to use Awa in that way to be able to, for her sake and for the rest of the team, to take advantage of the mismatches. So I love that. I showed this earlier, and I know Brian and a few other people have been talking about, this is the foundation. I'm kind of summarizing, excuse me, what Brian is saying here, but this is the foundation. This is the painful piece. And I honestly think that if you look at the Washington Mystics, who the Seattle Storm just recently lost to, they've kind of been building up their youth foundation for the last 2-3 seasons. I don't think that Seattle is that far off. Washington is a team that I say they're very scrappy. They can beat you, but I don't know, because I don't cover them as consistently as I do Seattle or New York for that matter. I don't know what they have as far as their timeline or what they're thinking there. But for me, I don't know, just kind of watching these teams and how things are coming together, and what I know of Sonia. I don't know Sydney very well, but I know Sonia, and I like what we're seeing here. I think that, yes, it's a veteran and a solid draft pick away from building this team out to be future-proof.
I agree. And I think that she is just like the perfect coach to operate with this team, because with so much that they have to figure out, and with so many pieces that they're going to have to move, they need someone who is very attentive to details, and someone who is, and again, not to compare comparison, but like style of coaching, I think that Sonia is much more unshakable than Noe. I think that Noe because it's the nature of who she is, she's going to think about several, aspects outside of what's on the court to make accommodations. I think that Sonia is very like, no, we're doing this, this, and that, and she is very analytical. And with those young players, even if they say no, whether it's a temper tantrum, whether it's like they're trying to figure out, Sonia is still going to be, no, that's what we're going to do, and then we're going to figure this out. So I think that with, we don't know who they're going to pick in the next draft. We don't know who they're going to bring in free agency, but for the veterans and who are going to be, available this free agency, it's an attractive team to come into.
Okay, we do have questions that I have put to the side for our fourth quarter from Optimus Prime and Jeff. And if you have questions that you want to ask us, you can, like, bigger picture questions, you can start putting those in the chat. Sometimes we'll put them up on the screen as we go along. Others I like to save a little for our fourth quarter so we can have more of a conversation. So if you have those questions, start putting them in the chat now and we'll get to them as they come up. But one thing I want to ask Roberta, I'm taking liberties as one of the co-hosts here. I'm going to ask a question before we get to the fourth quarter, and I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. But given what we now know is the unsurprising relationship between Skylar Diggins and the Chicago Sky, could you see Diggins coming back to Seattle?
You know what? I don't think Skylar left in bad terms. I don't think she left in bad terms with the ownership and the front office. I don't think she did. And I don't think she is the player that the Storm would go after.
Eagles brother said no. Phil said no.
So Roberta also says no.
Ooh, interesting.
Not because I don't think it would be a fit. Honestly, maybe I think with the new coach it wouldn't be a fit, because I think that Skylar needs to have a coach that she has a sustained relationship. And I think what we're seeing in Chicago now, and from my opinion, it's fully Chicago's mismanagement, and she is being a pawn in their game,
100%, which is why, like, again, this is not a Chicago Sky podcast, but we're gonna give you one for free, Chicago. That made no sense to me on multiple levels. The only way, like, we all knew it was gonna get to this point. We know the Chicago Sky, and we know Skylar Diggins, and that's not shade. That's matter of fact on both sides. Maybe a little bit of shade on the Chicago Sky, but it's not like they didn't deserve it. So I don't care. So, like, with Skylar, I cannot report on this because I haven't spoken to Skylar personally. My read in things and how Skylar has talked about certain things and what we have little pieces of information just about things that are happening off of the court, I could very much see Skylar in a season where free agency was wide open, wanting to prioritize being a little bit closer to what would be considered home for her. Now, Indiana, if I'm not mistaken, is home. We know Skylar Diggins wasn't going to nobody's Indiana Fever. Okay? On so many levels, that didn't make sense. For basketball and non-basketball reasons, that wasn't going to happen. So the next closest market is Chicago.
Yeah.
This is me putting things together, not reporting on this. I just want to be clear. So, but Coach Sonia is extremely smart, Phil. I've said this time in and time out. And yes, we sometimes make the MIT joke, but it's beyond that. Like, she is razor sharp when it comes to her intelligence. And I think
Yeah.
she also has emotional intelligence. And that's what Sandy Brondello had a lot of. Emotional intelligence. And I do think Skylar enjoyed playing for Sandy. And she talked about coming back to playing after being a mother and needing certain things. And she didn't get into details, but Sandy is known. There's so many stories after story. Shamiko Holdsclaw, Skylar Diggins, where Sandy Brondello will sit with you and have an important conversation,
Yeah.
and get you what you need. And so I think that Sonia has that. I don't think she's as expressive as a Sandy Brondello. I also have been watching Sandy Brondello either play or coach in the WNBA since what feels like the beginning of time, aka 30 seasons. But I do think Sonia could handle a Skylar Diggins. And
Yeah.
again, I'm not reporting, but I am deducing that there are reasons why Skylar went to Chicago that had nothing to do with the organization or the coaching staff. But if she can handle Tyler Marsh, I think she'll be fine with Sonia Ramon.
Here's the thing. I don't think she can handle. We have seen that it's not that she can handle Tyler Marsh. It's
Well,
just
she can't
that
handle him, but she can, but she can't. She can handle
exactly
him.
that's
She
the
can't
thing.
tolerate him.
And yes, that's what I mean. Yeah. And honestly, he deserves it. Like the Chicago Sky organization deserves to be put on the spot because and then Eagle's brother just made a comment that Chicago also pushed and they pushed back the practice facility, which was supposed to be ready by the All-Star game. And like, what is happening? No one knows what's happening. They brought in Skylar when they already had, they brought Natasha Cloud when they already had Skylar and Courtney Vandersloot.
Dejanay
And
Carrington
then
and Rekia
and then like Courtney Vandersloot came back 2 games and they already pushed Skylar to the bench. And now Skylar has been out with illness. So I don't
with the
know.
knee injuries, so I don't know. I again, not a Chicago Sky podcast, and no longer does Skylar Diggins fit here. But I just thought that was interesting. Jeff saying, P.S. I'd rather have Kennedy Carter.
I would love to have Kennedy Carter.
See, here's my thing. If we live in a world where y'all are so sure that Skylar Diggins wouldn't fit in Seattle, with all due respect, what makes y'all think Kennedy Carter would?
I think that I think that there are 2 different cases because Skylar is someone who has, except for some seasons out due to personal things, she has been like consistent in her WNBA career. Kennedy Carter, I feel like it's still a mystery. We don't know what Kennedy Carter can do except for the bursts of production that we have had from her. So we have ideas. I feel like Kennedy Carter would be someone that a coach could what's the word in English? Well, I could prime. The word is not coachable. That's not but the word that I'm trying to find is something similar to that. Is someone that a coach can shape.
Mold.
You can't shape Skylar. She's already, she already has her WNBA player, and for Kennedy Carter, I think that if Teaspoon had stayed in Chicago, she would have turned Kennedy Carter into an amazing WNBA player. But Chicago messed that up too. All right, go ahead, Erica.
So your argument is that Kennedy Carter is more moldable than Skylar Diggins?
In different ways. I'm saying in terms of what type of WNBA player am I gonna be from here on? You know, you can't mold Skylar because she already has.
She's a veteran. I see what you mean there, but then it becomes a one-sided without speculating or even really judging some of the noise that comes with Kennedy Carter. I don't. I'm with Phil.
I know.
It's a no. She is a bucket. She's 100% a bucket.
She's a bucket.
And if you think about it this way, Kennedy Carter also, I don't know how I think you get more in the development of the foundational youth in a Skylar Diggins than you would a Kennedy Carter.
You know what? I have a bone to pick with the whole Kennedy Carter situation. That makes me very mad. Who was the first player in 2024 to make headlines for touching the golden child? Who made CNN headlines?
I'm
was Kennedy
assuming you
Carter.
mean Kennedy Carter. I
It
don't
was
know where
Kennedy
you're going
Carter.
with this.
Her career, her WNBA career got basically done there because she already had a history with past teams, and then everyone used that to kind of make her as the problem child. And
I think you're
I think
stretching.
that
I
has
think you're stretching, homie. I hear what
You
you're
think so?
saying. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Take that situation out of the equation. Kennedy Carter, for some people, is still a liability. Take that whole thing out of the equation.
Because the thing that I'm thinking is that when you think of, the Atlanta Dream situation, do you know who was the other player who was also in the middle of the whole scramble?
Courtney Williams. Yeah.
She was there. When you look at what happened with the Sparks, the players are not there anymore. So I think it has a lot to do with what happened, and if the other players who got involved into similar situations this year weren't like as seasoned, then like, I don't know. I feel like Kennedy Carter is a good player, but she just hasn't like she just like was unfortunate to fall into problematic teams. I think so. That's what I think.
I'm struggling because my instinct is to say nah. And the reason I'm struggling is because I'm trying to self-edit and figure out why I feel differently about Kennedy Carter than Skylar Diggins.
That's what I'm like. Why is Skylar?
I do think there's
still
a
in the league?
difference. I'm trying.
but-
I want to be explicitly clear. I think there is a world of a difference, and I think there are things that are perceived in one case versus things that are witnessed in another case. So they have reputations that I think pin them as difficult, but for very different reasons. Skylar is difficult, air quotes, because she's vocal. Kennedy Carter, I think, is also vocal, but there are also actions that also coincide in a very different way than Skylar Diggins. I will say I don't necessarily think the heat that they get is all fair, but like we've talked about with Skylar, it's not all fabricated either. And I feel that for sure when it comes to Kennedy Carter.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel that there are reasons. For me, the production that Kennedy Carter can bring to a team should overrun the like problems. And I'm saying that like when you think
I disagree in a real big
when you
way.
think, I don't know, because the WNBA has less spots, but if there were as many teams as like the NBA, Kennedy Carter would have a spot. I think it also has to do with that, because when you look in the men's side, you have so many problematic players who
Okay,
have no
but
problems
you
with
said it.
having a
You
team.
already said it. Those are men. Men can be problematic, even be rapists and be president. So that you can't. Let's not compare men in this situation. Like you literally cannot do that in this country or literally anywhere where humans exist, because that's never going to be a fair comparison. So we can just throw that out the window.
Yeah.
We can throw that out the window. I think it's unfortunate and unfair in both of their situations, and for me it feels slightly different, and it's I don't know. For me, I also think from what I will say this. I've covered a team all season that Skylar Diggins has been on, and I have not done that for Kennedy Carter. So I just want to offer that up as well. There seems to be a level of accountability also that I perceive differently between Skylar Diggins and Kennedy Carter. And the accountability, Skylar Diggins, I think, can 100% hold herself accountable. That doesn't mean she's not going to say what she needs to say, because that's who she is. Kennedy Carter, I think, runs into situations where the accountability or lack of accountability makes it difficult for her to continue on in a professional setting.
That might be where the problem is, but it's just that I think that when it comes to like Skylar and Kennedy Carter, those are two cases in which I think that the level to which Kennedy Carter has been villainized is not is unfair to
I think to an extent.
that's
I
where I'm
think
like, I
both
think
of
that
I and I've said that a few times. I feel that about both of them, and they're not the same. They're not like for like in that particular category. Or I wouldn't say they're like for like. I think there are other things, including what you mentioned in Atlanta. Now, how Courtney Williams came out of that and Kennedy Carter didn't, I think goes back to what I feel is the difference between Skylar Diggins and Kennedy Carter, and it's accountability, or at least the air of accountability. Because what Winsome is saying here, I think, is really interesting, saying that Skylar is more versed in the business and politics of the W. Kennedy hasn't sorted that out yet. Now, is that fair? Absolutely not. Is it true? Absolutely. And I would add to what Winsome is saying, or just re-emphasize what I've already said, is that I also think that there's a different level of accountability. Like, if we want to keep it a buck, I don't think Tasha Cloud is always the most accountable person. We know Caitlin Clark is definitely not accountable. None of those players that I just mentioned, in my opinion, handle themselves in the same way as Skylar Diggins. I think she actually, all things considered, she handles herself with some pretty extreme poise. And if she gets to the point where things escalate, it's because y'all messed around. I don't know if she's a Taurus or not, but she giving off Taurus energy, because once you mess with the bull, like, now you have to deal with the consequences. And it's not, despite how I think she gets perceived, she's not always loud. She says she's direct. And again, being a woman and being direct, you might as well be cursing people out every way, shape, and form. And that's not a Skylar Diggins problem. That's a societal problem. But anyway, I actually love this conversation. We are going to move on, unfortunately, for today's episode. But I would love to continue having this conversation. Hey, Steven, what's going on? Listen, Tammy, I'm just giving examples on the entire spectrum, because if we're talking about either perceived or real lack of accountability, Caitlin Clark absolutely deserves to be in that conversation. I said what I said, period. Anyway, this is also not an Indiana Fever
although the
podcast.
Storm is playing the Indiana Fever.
And so is New York.
Next.
Isn't that fun? Anyway, let's keep it moving. You know what? We will get into the upcoming schedule, but let's just hop into questions or comments, because I do have some here that I starred that I think are pretty awesome. We had one from earlier. This is a hypothetical question. Will we trade Ezzy for extra draft picks 2 weeks until the trade deadline?
I don't think so anymore. I think that at this point, because I've asked myself that, and I try to picture scenarios.
Oh, my bad,
scenarios.
Tammy. Wrong CC. I get you now. My bad.
Oh, I thought she was also talking about Caitlin Clark.
I thought so too. My bad. I'll have to read your comment again. I'm
It's
sorry.
because she's
Go away.
problematic. So we're like, anyways, so I don't see a trade coming for Ezzy anymore. I think that the Storm wants to keep that core. I think they want to continue working with that. And with having the number 2 pick last year, the number 3 pick this year, and I think that I don't think that they're trading Ezzy.
Oh, Ezzy. Oh, Ezzy. Oi, oi, oi.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know. I don't know. This new injury unfortunately got hit in the face, which is it was so brutal. I just don't know, because I'm trying to reconcile how I felt in the off season versus where we're at right now and what we saw from her, because I liked what we saw from Ezzy.
Me too.
Like a lot. So that now I need to think about this. Again, we're going to have to come back to it.
Yeah.
Jeff made this comment earlier. I did start from earlier just because I thought we were going to get into some other stuff here, but players not playing straight up defense. The defense against Chicago, oof. As someone who loves defense, I did not love watching this game from the Seattle Storm perspective, because if I'm interpreting, that's not how you say it. If I'm interpreting,
I like it though.
interpreting,
It's
I mean,
a nice word.
it could be a word. It could be a word. If I'm interpreting what Jeff is saying here, the backdoor cuts, losing your mark, the switches, not communicating on the switches. Jade got caught up a few times. I know I've said that before. I don't like picking on people, and like I saw what I saw. That did drive me kind of wild. And it is something when we get into more X's and O's, this was a little bit more broad stroke conversation, but that is something that this team absolutely has to clean up. And I think it's related to some of the things that we said earlier about communication and getting to know each other. Striatic has a question for you, Roberta. How is the arena vibe going? And I think also Striatic, aka Brian, added thinking about like the fan perspective.
I think that's a very interesting question, because there's a clear support for the team. Like you can tell that the fans believe the team, the fans like the players, the fans like the coach. So you can feel that energy, the people believe them. And you can also see that the patience is starting to run low for some of the mistakes that I was talking about earlier, because what I started to notice, and I had seen that in other sports and even in the NBA, but like people were just like, "All good there, buddy?"
I'm great. So I have some fire honey. And so you put pepper, like cracked pepper, and I put like actual cracked pepper, and I just got like a big piece of pepper.
Oh my god!
It's not rubbing alcohol though, so that's
last episode was alcohol. Today was like just like having pepper.
Yeah,
so
like it's in my tea anyway. Anyway, continue. I'm sorry.
So what I'm seeing is like fans, they have started to grow tired of some of the same mistakes, and you get people
it's not.
and you get people like leaving the games, like swarms of people leaving early. So I think that while fans want to be supportive, they're also trying to be like, hey, we're watching you, and some of the things you're doing, we're not accepting them. So do better. I think it's pretty balanced, a pretty balanced response from the fans.
Okay, there you go. Striatic. Winsome saying, if Skylar comes back to Seattle, I don't know if Heidemann could take playing with her crush. But you got to remember,
But
Winsome, that little crush out the window.
No, but she did say in another episode that she still has a crush on her. Yeah.
I mean, listen, I would still have a crush on Skylar Diggins if I were Natisha Heidemann also. I'm just like, I hated Skylar Diggins for basketball reasons growing up because UConn was the closest NCAA team to me growing up. And I was like, dang, we got to play Notre Dame. Like, this child pisses me off. Like, why can't she just like, lose? You know, like she was that good. But now I can appreciate it because I'm not, fangirling. So yeah. Okay. What do you think about the Seattle Storm going out and getting Angel Reese or Camila with a K Cardoso? I have a feeling that you would love to see Camila in Seattle.
I was Dom and Awa, I love the both of you.
Ooh.
I love the both of you.
She's like, I'd
but
risk
if
it all.
if I could get Camila to play in Seattle, if I could cover Camila for a whole season, I would be like the happiest WNBA media member in the world. Like, it would be so fun. And we're not friends, but like we are familiar with each other and we speak Portuguese. So I'm sure that I would get some dibs into like some questions and things. So I would love for Camila to play here again. This has nothing to do with Dom and Awa and Ezzy at all. Love the three of them with all my heart, but Camila. So
there you go. You would say yes to Camila. I need to see more from Camila, and maybe
purely out of love.
I think I need to see more from Camila. I guess what I'm really trying to say is I think there is more to see from Camila. I don't think Chicago is great for, well, anyone, but
I was gonna say who.
Right. I wouldn't be against it, but I don't have as much of an emotional tie as Howard. I thought you would like that one. As far as Angel Reese, I actually really like her in Atlanta.
She fits in Atlanta so well. Oh, that last game.
Oh my God. And she was feeling it. I loved seeing Angel Reese that fired up
against the Sparks.
So I wouldn't mind seeing Angel Reese in Seattle, and I just don't think that is likely, and I don't think it's necessary for anyone. Certainly not for Angel.
Love me some Angel Reese, but it's not like the same thing with Camila for me. Like for Camila, I would, trade 5 players for Camila. I'll take care of. But that's purely for just like the Brazilian connections. I don't know. If Angel played here, I would love to cover
that would be
a team that Angel plays. I would love that.
Maybe down the road.
Yeah, but like thinking now in terms of where both teams are, I think that Angel fits Atlanta. I think that she has much less responsibility for the dream than she had for the Sky.
Oh.
And I feel that playing with that freedom has allowed her to unleash her potential.
I agree. And I think it's only going to get better when Bree Jones is back. It's only going to get better because Angel Reese, again, talked about it, but she's been dealing with a little bit of a nagging injury. So yeah, I love it. Talking Awa in Spanish was hilarious. We have more from those two. But I love her accent because it España accent, Valencia. So her accent is
It's
adorable.
fine.
All right, Jeff, I saw you put this in earlier. We had it starred, but we'll grab this one. Back to business. Question for Roberta. How many wins for Roman to keep her job next season? I
You
need a
know,
$2 answer. That's because we had a super
yeah.
chat.
Thank you, Jeff. You know, I think that's a really good
Where did
question
the super
because
chat go?
because in this case, I don't think that for Sonia there is like a number of wins that's going to keep her in the job. I think that it is about the underlying development and the improvement in the stats. So for her, I don't think it's really about the wins. I think that the amount of wins might increase her salary, might increase how many years she get of a contract. But I think that in general, what they are really looking for her to stay in order to keep her in Seattle is how she's going to develop this team, because it seems like that's what front office works, right? At least we think, paving the way for a future. And I think that she is doing a really good job of that.
I like that answer. But I'm going to give you not a $2 answer. I'm going to give you a $4 answer. And that's $1 for each win. She needs 4 wins. And this is why I'm saying that. Because the Chicago Sky only won 10 games in Tyler Marsh's first season. And apparently that was enough job security. That was enough job security. Matter of fact, actually, I need to edit that because that's the bare minimum for a man. She needs... I'm gonna give you a $7 answer. She needs 7 more wins because then she has as many wins as Teresa Weatherspoon had when she got fired. So really, I'm giving you an $8 answer because she needs at least 1 more, apparently, because you can literally win more games than a man and still not have job security if you are not just a woman, but a WNBA legend. I will never forgive you, Chicago. I take that extremely personal. I don't care. I take it extremely personal. Am I joking? I'm really not. I'm using humor and sarcasm, but I am deadly serious right now. It is beyond me how, if winning is the thing, right? Winning and motivating a team is the thing. They have had more controversies under Tyler Marsh. And what I believe is an inability to communicate, if effectively, even if at all, with his players than they did under Teresa Weatherspoon, who had Angel Reese and the aforementioned Kennedy Carter locked in.
That's what I was talking about.
So there you go, Jeff. She needs to have at least as many wins and then add 1 as it took for Teresa Weatherspoon to lose her job. And I say that, I don't really believe that, but I wanted to be a little snarky here. 1, because it is insane that we're not talking more about the fact, like, what at this point, I really need an answer. I'm so serious. Because if there's an answer, then I'll let it go. But from my perspective, I don't understand why Tyler Marsh has job security that Teresa Weatherspoon didn't.
Yep.
But my answer really is everything Roberta said. I just wanted to stick it to Chicago again because
what Craig said there, Raman, and she's not in danger, and I think she's doing a good job with what she has. And the players respect her. I think that is that's a pretty big thing.
Yeah, I think they're going to bring her back. I really don't think it's unless there's some kind of controversy, which I don't see happening. I'm not saying it couldn't. You know, you don't know until you know. But again, if the way I will flip a table, the way I will flip a flipping table.
If the Storm fire her, they bring a man.
They'll bring in
They would. Knowing, I'll say, and this is something, you know, I am very critical of the Seattle Storm as an organization, of the front office. The Storm will not fire Sonia Raman and bring him in. They're not going to do that. Absolutely not.
I don't think so.
They won't. That's one of the things that no one has said anything. This is not like sources or anything. They are not gonna fire Sonia to bring him in.
I don't see that.
That is one thing that I'm confident and I feel safe saying. I don't think they would do that. There are lots of things that I don't agree with them, but that's one thing that I know they're going to do well.
Okay, Tammy, come on. We will
Now
have a party together.
yeah.
Tammy saying, if they fire another coach without front office changes, I will be flipping tables. I know that's right.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Girl.
Oh, Sue Bird is not gonna coach in the WNBA. Sue Bird is having a really good life right now.
Yeah, she's having
she would
way
like.
too much fun on the media side.
Oh my God, I watched her and Cheryl Miller are so funny, and I
love
also
Cheryl Miller. Like,
yeah.
I like if she could adopt me, I would sign the papers right away.
Yeah.
I just
I just know that Sue Bird is she's living her best life. I watched the social media clip, I think from the BRW media, and it was, of course, it was a gay thing, and that it was a former NWSL player, and it was like, who are the 3 gayest NWSL and WNBA players? And the question was, who would pick up more women at the lesbian bar?
I saw that was, I didn't see the responses, but I don't know. I literally don't know what I'm talking about here. But when I saw that, the first thing I thought, I was like, okay, Sue got a type clearly. I was like, okay, listen, I might not pick up on it when men do it specifically to me, but I don't know what it is. I'd be like, you running game, fam. Like, come on. Don't.
when I was watching, I was like,
I didn't even see the
I
clip.
understand those things.
I just saw the first thing and I was like, you running game. You running game. Ew.
yeah. I was like,
listen.
I know my people. I see what
I was like, not out here running game.
Mm-hmm,
She was like, say names, emails, phone numbers, addresses.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Listen, Winsome, you might be onto something here. My thought is that Tyler won't rock the boat at the Sky or ask them to raise their caliber as an organization as far as how they move versus Teaspoon. I could see not having that and wanting more from them. Well, don't we know they get rid of opinionated and right Black women, which is again why, Skylar, I wanted so much more for you. Like, if it was gonna work out, I would love to be wrong. But nobody saw that working out. Like, did you really?
Yeah.
And when I say nobody, I want to believe that truly nobody thought that was a good idea, including you,
so
Skylar.
funny.
So I don't know, what was going on.
The comments on social media is like, okay, so the Sky got rid of Andrew Reese because she was too opinionated, and they brought Skylar Diggins. Make sense, like.
Who Skylar Diggins has been on the record. The aforementioned conversation that she had with Sandy Brondello was about facilities, and she liked being in Phoenix and the importance of having facilities as a mom. Y'all don't even have a locker room. Skylar in there changing after practice with her mommy and me group.
What is Chicago doing? Like, this has been the question of the whole.
How are they allowed to keep doing it? What is his name? Dwayne Wade? Like, what are you doing? Like, you're an owner. You don't care? You don't care?
Mm-hmm.
Girl, okay. I'm talking way too much. The sky has me so pissed off. This is supposed to be
Yeah.
cool. We're gonna get back to it. There was something else I wanted to come to. I wish the Storm had Cappy Pondexter on their coaching staff.
I love him.
I love Cappy. Also, has Cappy ever dabbled in coaching? I don't know.
I don't think so. See, you mentioned Kev Pondexter. I made I made this post on X that play that everyone was talking about from Paige Beckers, which was an amazing play that she like dribbling and then shot. That was very Cappy Pondexter-esque type of play. I type of like, the skills.
Yeah,
I
I
love
could
seeing
see it.
that.
I could see it. Oh, there was another question. It was, I'm trying to see. Oh, do you think the Seattle Storm can get into the playoff as the 8 seed if they start playing better? No.
No. No. This is
They
not
will
a
not
playoff
make the
team.
playoffs. So we
No.
talked about that earlier. Like,
Yeah. It'll
respectfully,
be a short season.
no shade,
for-
no shade. They are
Yeah.
not climbing to 8 this season.
No.
No, it's not.
I don't think they're climbing to 10th. So because now there's 15 teams. So it's not about them. It's just
Craig said now a player I'd be interested in, Rekia at the 3. Oh, that's because Eagles brother said the way Rekia was talking to Dom after the game, you can tell she wanted to be traded to the Storm. Listen, Rekia. Oh, Rekia. Oh.
Didn't they play? Did they play together? The Breeze, was that the Breeze?
Oh, yeah.
I think so, because
I think
the
so.
Breeze FC became a whole like family, and everyone loves them.
Oh,
They are
Cam was on that team too.
Cam Brink, Paige Beckers,
Ooh.
Dom, and Rekia Jackson.
Nice. Yeah. That's
And I
amazing.
think Kate Martin. I think so.
Oh yeah. That's that like honestly, that's a squad you could like chill with, like on a.
Who coached them?
Was it Noe?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yes.
Yeah, and
Okay,
they did
Eagles
really
brother
well.
saying yes, they played at Unrivaled together. Christy Tulliver, Brienne January. Listen, Brienne January deserves
Ooh.
a serious consideration given what she's dealing with. If you know, you know. That's all I gotta say about that. But there was a transition I was gonna make earlier. It makes absolutely no sense now, but just for the fun of it. And speaking of all-stars,
True. And speaking of all-stars, Brian January was one.
that's true. Speaking of all-stars, we're gonna get to that in a minute. I was gonna put this one up on this. Yeah. Listen, don't get me started, Craig. I told y'all. I called that one early. And that's fine. Like, it's okay, but no. Anyway, speaking of all-stars, we're going to be at All-Star. Joeta and I, we finally today started getting some information on when we'll actually have access to the players. And the reason that's important is because then we can start planning out other things that we want to do for you when we as Black Rosie Media are at All-Star. And we are still in the works, but there are some things, whether you're in Chicago, and if you are, let us know, comment here or on social media. We want to know if you feel comfortable. You don't have to, or reach out to us. We want to know if you are going to be in Chicago. We'd love to meet up with you. Come say hi if you see us. But then also for those who are not going to be at All-Star, we still want to give you the Black Rosie Media experience. So stay tuned. We should have more on that because that's coming up next week. Top 8 players on the Storm.
That's the easy one.
Go for it.
I mean, the starting 5: T, Dom, Awa, sorry, Flau'jae, Jade,
I'd say Zaya.
Zaya. I said Jay, right?
Mm-hmm.
Steph.
One more.
Katie Lou.
Who?
Katie Lou. I'm not counting Ezzy because Ezzy has barely played.
Yeah, Ezzy would be there for me.
I was gonna say Ezzy
Kate
would have
Lou
made
had
it.
a pretty solid game in
She had a
Chicago.
pretty good game. Yeah.
You
So
notice I did say Zaya. I think Zaya is up there. I like what
Zaya. Oh yeah, that was Jordan Horse, and I didn't mention her.
I was gonna say someone didn't say Jordan. I thought she was in your starting
Listen,
lineup.
you know that I'm struggling to think today. My list.
Brian, what's up with the females? You like the word females a lot. I'm not saying that I'm not a female. It's just like a weird descriptor to use when woman is right there. Also, you could just use our names. Roberta is over there. I'm Erica. Hello. And I think what you're asking is, how did we come up with this podcast? Just out the dome. We were like, let's talk about the Seattle Storm. Oh, okay. Jeff's gonna be at Storm versus Liberty. That's gonna be a Black Rosie Media classic, as we like to call it.
I love those. I really like those.
Black Rosie Media classic. The Storm got the better of the Liberty last time, so we'll see what the Liberty Bibberty can do. Yes, but we will be at All Star, so stay tuned. We'll have more information. As always, you can join us here. So next week we will be at All Star. So again, the usual schedule will be a little bit different because the All Star activities actually start on our usual recording day. So make sure you stay tuned. We'll let you know. We are going to touch base with you. It's going to be a little bit of a different format though, so just follow along. If you're not already subscribed, make sure you do that. Hit the notification bell so you know when we have new videos, and definitely follow us on social media. We'll upload and post our schedule for All-Star and some of the things that we have planned. And of course, we'll be delivering content live, and then of course, after the All-Star events. But you can also, if you want the most up-to-date and get ideas and even be a part of our planning, you're going to want to join our Slack community. And you can do that by subscribing at any level, free or some of our paid tiers. We have 2 different paid tiers. They're basically just annual or monthly. You can subscribe to the Women's Basketball Roundup, and that is how you get access to Slack these days. Jeff, we already did that. And why wouldn't we say Dolson? We just did that. Yes, we do get to go to the Obama Center. We will be there for multiple events, including the main interviews and the practice that the players have before skills competition. So yeah, we will be there, and that is definitely on the list of content that you will be getting right here at Black Rosie Media. But we're gonna close it out with just a few more little anecdotes from Flau'jae, Awafam, and I think maybe one more clip from Sonia Roman, and then we'll get out of here. It is dope, winsome. I cannot wait to see that and then take y'all along. So you're definitely going to want to follow us at Black Rosie Media. And of course, we're going to give you the culture and history and the meaning and impacts behind the center. Already sold out through October. So it's brand spanking new, and we're going to be in the house. But there's just a few little nuggets that we want to close with. Go for it.
Just a very important comment about this. The Storm today became the first WNBA team to visit the Obama Center.
Oh,
so, yeah.
See, look at
yesterday, but the Storm became the first WNBA team to visit there.
Mm-hmm. All good, Brian. Yes, women, we prefer women, or just call us by our names. And there's like a whole thing behind that. But just when women say they prefer not to be called females, yeah, just hear them out.
Yeah,
nice. I didn't see that on social.
National team to visit the recently opened Obama Presidential Center and learn more about it.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That is kind of wild, but also I'm doing the Sealy until you do right by your players. Until you do right.
Yeah.
They don't deserve nice things. Until you do right. I'm going to put the Sealy curse on y'all. I ain't put it on. You put it on your dang self, and I don't feel bad. I I'm looking forward to going to the Obama Center. I always look forward to talking to the players, and I look forward to meeting y'all. Like, for real, there's always so many activations. It honestly becomes a little overwhelming how many things there are to do, and then you have to be like, well, I can't go to that because I'm already going to this, and da 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 da.
Yeah.
So it gets a little stressful. We're gonna try to bring you as much BTS boots on the ground content without making it overwhelming for you or for us, for that matter.
Yes,
Listen,
exactly.
if y'all know, you know, and this is definitely what Chicago has. They have a hex, and I didn't put it on them, but I will reinforce it. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's close out hearing a little bit more from your Seattle Storm. Eventually the video will play, I promise.
And I know that I need to do it more.
But do you draw any extra sort of umph when you're on the court with another
I
rookie
like her
who's
talking
having
about Sydney Johnson.
really good season?
Shoot, we was matched up. She scored on me. I scored on her. I was talking to her, telling her, like, damn, you nice. Where did you go to college? I just seen though she was undrafted. But I more so like, I kind of just use a chip. I felt like Chicago, they passed me up in the draft. So it's like always like as a competitor, you like, okay, I got a chip on my shoulder. And I'm gonna have that for the rest of my career. I think that's like you gotta find ways to like motivate you. And that's like definitely one of the motivating factors. Shoot, she confident, you know? She came down the left side, went like this with the left between me and Dom and finished. I said, oh yeah, she cold. She got my respect. Just like those players, they make you gotta up your. I didn't even know she was a rookie. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, wow, like Chicago really at a gym. I was like, then why they didn't give me the ball? I was just kind of sitting back chilling a little bit. I'm like, cool. But I'm like, dang, why she ain't got the ball? But I think she's a great player. For her to be a rookie, like she has a great confidence. She's great.
Yeah, for Awa, can you talk a little bit about yesterday's Spain and France? Were you talking any trash to Dom?
Vamos.
I have here my other Spanish girl. Okay.
Vamos.
I'm super happy for them, of course. Like I told my teammates and the coach, we are gonna win the World Cup, and I know that. I know that because I know that this team and we are Spanish. I'm grateful for being Spanish, and yeah, I'm super happy for them.
Me too.
You guys are so funny.
They're hilarious. Honestly,
They
I
are.
would watch a show. I know that like the New York Liberty are doing this thing like A1s or something like that, which I haven't watched a full episode yet, but it's like cute. It's like a cute concept. I would absolutely watch 30 minutes of them talking about whatever they wanted. I don't even care. I don't
No,
even care.
every meet availability with Flau'jae is a blast.
She's
Like
hilarious.
she's
She's so much
amazing.
fun. And
Yeah.
yes, Sydney Taylor is a baller, Eagles brother. I just loved how she could talk so glowingly and matter of factly. Like she was like very like sincere. Like I don't think she was playing around. Like and she's right. Sydney Johnson Sydney. I don't know why I said Johnson. That's the coach. Sydney Taylor is cold, like she said. Absolutely. And so love to see it. I will also say I didn't, for brevity, and we went on a whole nother tangent, so I'm glad I cut it. But if you haven't watched the media availability, go listen to Flau'jae talks about playing against Chicago, and it was around when she was talking about going up against another rookie, but she was like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, like they passed me up on the in the draft, so yeah, I had a little extra juice.
Yeah.
Had a little extra juice. I mean, it's not comparing them or pitting them against each other. We already know Flau'jae had an amazing game, but Sydney Taylor is also an amazing player. So yeah, and I just love that Flau'jae. If Flau'jae ain't got a problem, I ain't got a problem either. Also, she had an amazing game, so maybe if she didn't have such a great game, she would have felt different. I don't think so. I think that's just who Flau'jae is. She's willing to give people flowers, and I love that about her. But I just thought it was funny, her talking about Sydney, and then also being like, "Yeah, they passed me up, so you know, I wanted to make sure I had a little something for them." And she did, and
she did,
and she did, and it was great to see. All right, y'all, we're gonna close it there. Again, next week is gonna be a little bit different because Roberta and we are flying, both of us not driving. We are gonna be in Chicago, so we're gonna make our way to Chicago. So the format will be a little bit different, but we will, Roberta and I, hop on the mics and in front of the camera in some way, shape, or form. But you gotta stay tuned right here on Black Rosie Media, on our YouTube channel, social media, and again, if you subscribe to the Women's Basketball basketball roundup, you'll have access to our Slack channel and you'll get all of the information before anybody else. All right, everyone. Thank you for a fun night, Eagles brother. You and everyone else, like Jeff and Tammy was here. Phil, Winsome, Brian, loved having you here. So many other people that hopped in. So Tammy, I don't know if I said Tammy, but I'll say Tammy again because Tammy always shows up and we appreciate you. Thank y'all so much. We appreciate you. Have a great night, and we will catch you on the next episode of Tempestade Talk. We keep a local eye on your Seattle Storm. Peace out, everybody.